Hey, what's up, guys? We're back for another episode. Hanging out forever. Feels like a real podcast now. I think we're it feels like we're entering the podcast world now. And it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
How do
that
you
was
feel?
a good intro. I was just asking Grant, like, are we going to do an intro? And then you did it. That was
That's
nice.
how you do it. You
That
just
was
do
great.
it.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. So Grant and I, it does feel like we're actually podcasters now, even though this is only our third episode. Well, this is our fourth episode. Wait, no.
This is
the fourth we've recorded.
Fourth we've recorded, but it may be the third
Re-release.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels real.
It feels real. Like,
It feels crazy.
it feels really real. It's funny because Grant always kind of had reservations about doing a podcast in the first place. And I'd be like, I want a podcast. I've been wanting to podcast with this man for like 3 years, like two years at least.
Yeah.
And he was always just like, no, or yeah, but kind of just playing it off or just pushing it down the road. And one of the times I think we might have had a fight about it, and I was just like, why won't you podcast with me? And you said that you don't want to put yourself out there like that. And
Yeah.
I did not understand what you were talking about at first. I was like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not even that deep. Like, let's just fucking do it. Who cares?
Yeah.
And now I understand what you mean. Now I get it.
It's just like, I think I've just never had myself be the face of something like that, something that I'm pushing. Because with my production company, it's just a company. There's no real like face to it. And I'm not really like putting myself out there like that. So it just feels different putting myself out there, and like I'm promoting myself, I think I'm just not used to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. And then also with me, we'll talk about, I guess, more what we do in film later. But for me, I have
That's why this looks so clean.
That's why it looks so good. Yeah. If you're wondering why, that's why.
Yep.
But I have a documentary series called Pleasers, and Pleasers is about sex work, and I am very much not the face of Pleasers at all, because the whole purpose of Pleasers is to allow people who are women within the sex work industry to have a platform to talk about their experiences in the context of their own lives without that being oversaturated and skewed by the opinions of outside greater society and like the narratives that are placed on sex work. So I'm very behind the scenes. Like, I don't make cameos. I'm not in videos. I'm not on the page really.
It's about your subjects.
It's
your
about
subjects
my subjects.
are the face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're the face of Pleasers. And I've had people be like, "Your Pleaser," which is such a good feeling.
It's the best
Like,
feeling.
it's so cool.
It's the best feeling, getting recognized.
I've literally had people be like, "Your Pleasers?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm just modest about it. But being the face of something else, let alone a podcast where we talk about our relationship and we open it up to the critique of the world, is so different than what I thought it would be. And I think the first episode that we dropped, it was like all vulnerable, tears, wah wah. And everybody was like, oh my God, I love this. But the second episode is a little bit more
Lighthearted.
okay, that's a good word. I was gonna say controversial, but lighthearted is definitely better.
I was going to say controversial.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. It is crazy to think like that we're just kind of having these conversations, and talking about stuff that is, I guess, normal to us, because
that was what I was gonna say too.
we just kind of, this is how we feel about life, and this is how we like see things. These are our views, and we're just kind of talking about them like with one another. And then you put them out in the world, and you kind of get to know the mindset of other people, and obviously the people who disagree with you are going to be the loudest ones, you know what I mean? Or are going to be the ones who are going to speak their opinion the quickest, but it is what it is. I think I like to think that I'm pretty good at, like, I mean, obviously, like we were saying, this is kind of the first time I've promoted myself like that. But I think that I still have this disconnection between like the internet and reality, which I think is healthy, because I don't let shit that happens on the internet or people on the internet get to me in reality. I already knew, like,
drinking my alcoholic beverage today.
But I already knew that, like, some of the things we said in the last episode, that's going to be the second episode release, that there's going to be some people coming for me. Not coming for me, but just like some haters hating and some little red pillars. Shout out to the red pill community on YouTube. Shout out. But, you know, I don't really give a shit if I piss those people off. I'm not going to lie. So it is what it is.
I think that, like, for me, it's just been generally a little bit more difficult, but also I'm the one that's running the page. You know what I mean? I have to sit there all day. Immersed in it. Yeah, I have to sit there all day and make the clips, and I edit the podcast, and I like do all the things. So I'm watching it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. And then I'm posting it, and then I'm watching it more to make sure I'm posting it correctly. And then I have to post it on 3 different platforms, so I'm watching it even more. Yeah. And then I watch to see how it's doing. So I'm just like totally sucked in to like the internet's universe, and I feel like I'm almost at the mercy of what people have to say, because at the same time, I love that we have trolls and people who are like, leave her, bro. Leave her. Don't be like Jada and Will. Yeah. So one of the things we're going to do in this podcast is read our comments so far, because I haven't really read the comments recently.
I think there was only a couple, like a couple new ones, a couple new bangers. But, I mean, you know,
it's
like,
just so hard.
We knew that was gonna come, but it is kind of weird that it's like happening. It feels like, are we becoming one of those controversial things that people are like kind of arguing about and talking about, and like,
which is good for us.
It feels weird because like you see like internet people doing that. Like you see couples on the internet and stuff, like, and they either have a podcast or they're just like one of those Instagram couples, whatever. Right. And there's so many haters and there's so many people talking. And when I see like couples or just people on the internet in general, it honestly, it seems like they're like not a real thing. Like it does feel like it kind of like dehumanizes them in a way.
You feel that way about us already?
I don't feel that way about us, but it's weird to think like people may feel that way about us. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Well, I don't watch as many podcasts as you do. Yeah. And I'm not immersed in as many like famous people's lives as you are. Yeah. So it doesn't compute to me or connect to me in the same way that it's connecting to you, where you feel like you're like, not like otherworldly, but you're kind of,
feels like you're watching,
you're having an outside experience.
Yeah.
I'm having a very inside experience.
Well, yeah, I hear that because you're editing it and everything, or
because I'm running the page and I'm looking at the comments and I'm refreshing to see how many likes we get, and I'm getting a high off of that, where it's like, oh my gosh, this is how many likes we got. Oh my God, how many shares? Oh my gosh, look at how many views. So I'm very much in it. Whereas like you're on the outside, where I'll be like, look how many views we have today, and you're like, wow, good job. So you get to kind of exit from this world.
And I appreciate you for taking that over, because I run multiple social medias for other people as well for our job and stuff. So yeah, so I was like, I can't take on another social media
I think
project.
I'm doing a good job.
You're doing great, baby.
You're so nice to me.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. You're doing great. And but that is weird to think about, like, because when I watch these people's podcasts and stuff like that, it's like it's entertainment. It's like I'm watching a TV show.
Yeah.
So there is this separation of like, it's almost like these people aren't like real people, you know. It does seem like it's a show and they're characters.
Yeah.
You know, but in reality they're people, and they're sharing their experiences and stuff like that, you know. And that's what we're doing. And it's just kind of weird to think of like, if we had some people like later down the road or something, if we have fans, whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy to think of too.
Because right now we are regular people. Like, we're inside, working from home, doing our own thing. We're Asia and Grant, but we're not like Asia and Grant. You know what I mean? And so like, it does feel weird that we might get to a place where people love our podcast and like see us, and it's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's a level of, now that our podcast is out, and even though we're not like popping, like we're not out here astronomically blowing up. You know what I mean? But we got eyes on us. Now we have eyes on us. And so even with the few eyes that are on us, being that this is the beginning of our podcast, I want to say that I'm already kind of missing that level of anonymity that I had before.
I think it's because like all of, all the people who have watched like our first podcast are basically all of our friends and family, and just like everybody that's in our sphere, those are the people who have watched it. And that feels a little weird that
feels so weird,
because it's like, I almost would feel like less weird if it was just a bunch of random people watching than like all these people. Cause I like posted it. I've been posting it on like my like personal page, and it's the people who follow me on my personal page are like people I grew up with, and like, like from my hometown and shit. And they're like seeing that, and they're just kind of like, I don't know how they're feeling about it. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody seems to really like it, which is cool.
Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. But it does feel really weird. And, I have an interesting familial dynamic. Like, I'm very supported by my family, but there's still, I feel like a level of I talked to my older brother today, and he was like, don't send me your podcast. I don't want to watch it because I don't want to hear anything that might make me change my perception of you. And I was like, damn, that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. Yeah, whoa. But I don't think that he meant it in that way. But it's just like, does he want me to be that raw? Yeah. Does he want to know what's really going on in our relationship?
The surface level of, and that's the thing too. Like, I think it's kind of, like our parents and like family members like that. I don't think they want to know like the ins and outs of our relationship, because it's like, that seems very personal. It's just kind of, they don't want to know, they just don't want to know.
Yeah.
So I understand it in that aspect. I do get that.
It's just weird though, because, now I'm thinking like, does his family think that I'm just beta-ing him up and down the way? My gosh. Does his family just think that he's in this relationship that he needs to be saved from? Because even what we posted about today, where I talked about keeping sentimental things from my ex, and you were talking to one of your friends, and he was like, are you okay with that, bro?
Yeah, he was like,
and in my mind, I'm like,
is that just clickbait, or are you like actually cool with that? And I was like, but you know what? And let me give some context to it. If you just watched the 15-second clip on YouTube, and this will be a new clip. It's so the context to her keeping like sentimental things that like her ex gave her, whatever.
Yeah.
She is a very sentimental person of her entire life timeline. It's not just her ex. It was like a time in her life that was sentimental. So she's keeping things from that time, and she's just a very sentimental person. She has lots of things in the closet that, like, I would have thrown away because I'm not a very sentimental person, but it's attached to somebody that was in her life, and she wants to keep it forever. And she has lots of things from her childhood that forever. And do I think that she's going to leave me for her ex? No. She's not going to leave. She's not going to leave. She's not going anywhere. And she doesn't have any type of feelings towards her ex, any type of anything for her ex. Like, I know that, and I'm secure about that. So that's why I'm not weird about her having these sentimental things, and it's like, it's not like she's pulling them out and like, looking at them every day and like remembering all these memories, whatever. It's just things that she wants to keep because she likes keepsakes, and she likes to collect these things that were throughout her life, and that's just how she is, and that's how she's always going to be. Like, if we broke up and she got into a new relationship, she would definitely have things of mine as well. Like, I already know, because it was a big part of her life, and that's all it was though. It was a part of her life. It's not something that's happening now.
Yeah. You're so nice to me.
But it's just like that's what I said to my homie, and he understood. He's like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. You know, like, because it's like, once you take away like that like ego of it all, and just like realize that we've been together for like over 7 years, like we're planning on like our future together, those little things like don't matter at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because it's like what's actually happening now is we're both very happy in this relationship, and it's going to continue being that way, and we're going to continue going down that path. No matter whether you have things from your past or from your ex, whatever, that shit doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. Like I don't have some crazy ego where I'm like, oh my God, you can't have anything from your ex. You know what I mean? Like you have to only be thinking about me all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, no, that's not reality, you know? And I don't have that ego, and I don't know. That's just how I feel.
You're so nice to me. Thank you. But yeah, like, even if you had stuff from your ex, well, I'm nosy and I love how people perceive other people. So if you had letters from your ex, I'd be all up in your box. I'd be like reading all your letters. I mean, if you let me read them,
yeah.
if you wanted to share your letters with me, I would absolutely be reading them because I would love to know what somebody else's perspective of you was and their relationship with you. Not that it informs how I think about you or informs our relationship or anything like that. It's just more so like it helps me piece together who you were at a certain point of your life and how you were perceived by somebody that you engaged with romantically and how they loved you. Now, I'm not saying that you need to read my letters or anything like that, but like,
yeah, I'm good on that. But you don't can have to read them. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you. No, it wasn't until today that we posted that clip where I was like, is it that deep? Because to me, it's like a no-brainer. Why would I throw away? And also, they weren't toxic relationships too. Maybe that's a thing, is that people are just, I think that most people, honestly, I'm gonna be real. I got letters from not just like my exes, but also people who had crushes on me who I never dated. Shit like that matters to me. And I just think it's so sweet, you know, and it stamps a time in my life. Yeah, like I'll go back and read that letter that we talked about in the last episode or read that drawing that he made me. And I'll be like, these are all the things I was into at this year in my life. Like, wow, this guy captured that so perfectly. That type of shit is sweet. I get to show my kids like, yo mama was pulling letters and blah, you know what I mean? I don't know. For me, it's just kind of like, not like a validation, not like it. Maybe some people can consider it an ego stroke validation, but to me, it's just, I grew up feeling like I never deserved to be loved and feeling like I would never receive the type of love that I wanted. And I never even really wanted a type of love because I was so convinced that I didn't deserve it, that nobody could love me for me, that I'm such a tragic human and so difficult to love, which has been true for some people. And, you know, as it pertains to keeping letters from your exes and whether or not they're toxic, I have letters from my not recent ex, because we've been together for 7 years, but the guy I was with before you, I have letters from him. But do I think he has stuff from me? Hell no, because he was on the toxic side of the relationship. He was having a bad time. Yeah. I feel so.
He wants to forget.
He wants to forget.
Yeah.
No, he wants to forget. I'm just gonna. Sorry to that man. Maybe we'll have like a episode about exes.
She literally has a huge box in our closet.
Here we go.
That's taking up a lot of closet space, by the way. But a huge box in our closet that's full of notebooks from college. Every notebook that she had and wrote in college, every test, every homework, she kept that. Who keeps that? That is crazy.
That hurts my feelings.
But nobody keeps that. Everybody wants to forget about school. You know what I mean? Like, you're like keeping that shit. It's great. She just likes that, but it was a point. It was like a part of her life, and it was a time in her life, and she wants to remember it forever.
Yeah.
And have memories of it. So we have a big box of homework in our closet,
and then a little box of letters,
like
cards my mom has gotten me, things you've given me.
It's got a bunch of stuff.
Things my younger brother gave me when I was a kid, or like just things like that. And so I think that like for me, everybody's like, oh, she needs that validation, or she needs her ego stroked. Like, bro, for me, at the same time, it's almost in a weird way proof that I can be loved, because it's not like I grew up with people telling me that no one would ever love me. I just grew up feeling so unlikable within myself and then in my environments that I felt like no one could ever love me. And that's why the first guy that I ever dated was so bottom barrel. And like, my God, that's a story for another day. But I dated him cognitively thinking, this is the best that I could get. This is what I deserve.
Yeah.
And so when another guy came around and was like, yo, Asia, I like you, I was shocked. And like, guys have had crushes on me and stuff like that, like in high school, whatever. But the seriousness of a relationship was not on my radar during that time, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't want a relationship where you just didn't.
Well, it was just kind of, it's like playtime. Like in high school, it's playtime. You know, I never hooked up with any of the dudes from high school, whatever. But I had a crush on this one guy and maybe one other guy, 2 guys probably throughout all of high school. But even then, I never dated them because I just felt like it just didn't make sense for me to like be with another person. And so when I got with my first ex, I did it knowing in my mind, this is the best that I could get. This environment is the best that I deserve.
Yeah.
And that environment that he lived in was horrid.
Yeah.
Horrid. Like insane. I'll get into that another day, like I said, but like having these letters and stuff like that, they do mean a lot to me. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're very sentimental. You like keepsakes. You like to collect, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I understand that. You know, I get that. That's why I was saying, like, you know, but the thing though that my homie did like bring up that because I said the way I said it was like I was like, if I was a crazy boyfriend, then I would make you throw that stuff out. But I meant like if I was a crazy boyfriend in the like aspect of like, or in the position of, I would be a crazy boyfriend in the position of we have the relationship we have now, like we have the trust we have now, we have everything I just listed off, and knowing that how you feel about these sentimental things, and then on top of that, I'm making you throw this shit out. That would be crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's what I meant by that. Like, cause I would understand like if I didn't trust you and we didn't have the type of respect that we have in this relationship and you were keeping shit from your ex, then I'd feel insecure and weird about it. You know what I mean? Because I would be like, I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if you still have feelings for this person. I don't know if you still, you know, are like harvesting things for that.
Right.
But we don't have that relationship. You know, we don't have to worry about that. You know, so it's different in that lens. Because if we didn't trust one another, then, you know, I would probably be upset that you were keeping things from your ex, you know. But we have the relationship that we have. So there's the context for you bitches in the comments.
So speaking of them, should we read them? Should we read some of the comments?
Sure.
Do you not want to?
I guess we could. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have to if you don't want to. I thought that we were going to read some of them.
I don't know. I think we kind of covered
the
comments.
Well, I'm going to read some of my favorite ones.
Yeah, go ahead and read some.
Okay. We got a comment on our YouTube page and it says, if you keep stuff from your ex in a new relationship, it is an idol of exactly what she said. Love from another person while she says she loves you. Leave her ass. She is selfish and indecisive. It shows how little you mean to her that she doesn't care about your feelings on it.
Nice.
It's just weird because you literally said, I don't know. I guess out of context, when they say crazy boyfriend, to them, maybe it sounds like I want you to throw it away, but you're lucky I'm not crazy. So I'm not making you throw it away. Because when you said crazy boyfriend to me, I thought that what I interpreted was if you were some psycho that was so insecure, you would make me throw it away if you were that guy. But I think what people are interpreting is that you have underlying feelings about it and you wish that you were a crazy boyfriend so that you could tell me to throw it away. That's what I think people are interpreting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then somebody says, I want nothing around me that my ex gave me. The fuck? I deleted and threw everything out. Why are you still holding on to things of the past? And I expect him to do the same. I'm just not insecure like that.
Well, and it wasn't like this horrible breakup.
Also, yes.
You know, so.
Yeah, if he was crazy, why would I want anything that he gave me?
Yeah. If it was like a really toxic situation and he was really, you know, a horrible person or something.
Yeah. Somebody else said, leave her you better leave her. She gonna do you like Jada did Will. And it's just like, and then my homie said he should make you throw it away. That's crazy. Why are you holding on to the past? I think he meant past.
Who?
Dumbass.
Who said that? Who said that?
He said PASS. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, he's.
You know who that is.
Yeah.
He said, would you be okay if he kept things like that from his ex? Yes. I would love that. You know, it would just be sweet to me. It's like, wow, look at how sentimental. Because when I first started getting you gifts, you'd be like, oh, thanks, toss. And I'd be like, I spent all day making that for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, you're that type of way too. You like getting gifts, and you like.
I have so many of the roses. I try to keep them that you've given me throughout the entire time that we've been together, because I have in my mind that I'll use them at our wedding. I know, somehow.
And I have to sneakily throw them
throws
out.
them away
because there's just a bunch of dried up rose petals everywhere. But yeah, you know, so I don't know. It's interesting seeing like people react to us and stuff like that, you know. It's kind of funny.
I do want to ask, like, so I feel great about us podcasting because I feel like we're just talking. We talk a lot, but I feel like when we set aside time to have the podcast, we set aside time to have deeper conversations about things that are going on in our relationship.
Yeah.
And so because of everybody on the internet being like, he probably has a problem with this, you're making him insecure, blah, blah, blah. I really want to ask you, like, are there things in our relationship that I do unknowingly that make you feel insecure?
That make me feel insecure. I mean, not really. It takes I feel like it takes a lot to get to me with certain things. You know what I mean? I'm very like easygoing, you know? But I don't know. I mean, like, I think we've been pretty good at like good at setting boundaries, and you know, at the end of the day, like, the foundation of our relationship is like respect for one another. You know, like, we really do respect one another, and we really do trust one another and have that foundation. And I think that it's just, you know, like, there's obviously times where you can get like, you know, in your head, or you're a very like quick person. Like, you need to like get things done right away. You need to like, you know, you need to move quick. You know, I think that's the thing that we have, which can be kind of condescending at times, you know?
Yeah.
But those are just like random moments. It's not like, that's not like a projection of like our entire relationship. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not how our relationship is. The most of the time we're on the same page, we're communicating, you know, we're just having a great time together, you know? So, it's not, I don't know. I don't really have any.
Yeah.
Nothing I can think of. I mean, there's just like random moments, I guess, where like we can be annoyed with one another. Like, you can be annoyed with like how I'm moving, like if I'm moving slowly, or I think that's mainly what it is. Yeah. It's literally that, like, with every, like I'll either physically be moving slow, or like, I'll be procrastinating something. You know what I mean? And you hate that because you don't do that at all. You don't procrastinate anything. You're like on top of everything.
I procrastinate some stuff.
Yeah, but
things that give me anxiety, I procrastinate, but that's everybody, I think.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. But it's two different types of things. Like, I have anxiety about like life stuff, like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It I don't know, just like financial things, or like if I have to, I don't know, schedule an appointment or make a call or something like that. Like, make a call about, like, when it comes to my business and stuff, like, I'm definitely on top of that stuff. But when it comes to like life things, I hate dealing with that shit. You know what I mean? And that stuff stresses me out. And so that's stuff that I will procrastinate on.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that I think that you don't understand, because you're like, why? You just call the bank and you talk to them for 2 hours. That's all you have to do. You know what I mean?
Talking to the bank.
You love talking to the bank.
I call Amex all the time.
Yeah,
I'll be like, yo, how's my
bank.
account? We in good standing or what? You know what I mean?
And you ask a million questions.
I do.
When I get on calls with them, I'm like in and out in like 30, like
How
in
is
like a
that
couple
possible?
minutes because I don't have a billion questions. I'm just like, we're good. Okay, bye. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I want to know because I want to get out of there. I'm like, I don't want to think about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And once I'm balling, I'm just gonna like have an assistant or something deal with all that shit.
Hey, me, I'll do it.
I might have to, but you know, so that's something that I think you don't still to this day like don't maybe not understand about me, but you just like it's something that frustrates you.
Does you move slow sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that's one thing.
And I think you're frustrated because I move too quick.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And because you, like, I can feel you kind of like, you know, tapping.
Yeah,
that, like,
sometimes
when I'm
we be in
slow.
traffic and I'm like, why hasn't he gone around this guy
like,
yet?
Why are we still in this lane? And I'm just like, we literally are moving at the same pace as everybody, baby. I don't know what to tell you, you know? But, yeah. So, I mean, that's something that like, it's not that serious, and it's something that we can like communicate about, you know, like what we're doing right now, you know. Is there something that I do that I could change, or what was the question?
Makes me feel insecure.
Yeah. Is there something that I do that makes you feel insecure?
Not really. Do you do anything that makes, when I'm telling you a story and you say that you don't care?
Well, what's the story about?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Never mind.
What's the context?
Never mind.
Story?
That's a good, because I'll be like, this guy hit on me, and you're like, I don't care. And I'm like,
you're like, why don't you care? It's like, why would I?
Why don't you care? Yeah, no. What is something that you do that makes me feel insecure? Nothing. You don't make me feel insecure. You never make me second guess myself, actually, ever. You make me feel like so beautiful and so smart and so pretty and so interesting, and you make me also feel like I'm just like so talented, which is like
you are you're literally this happens this does happen all the
all
time
the time.
I'm like, literally like, you're like a fucking like professional athlete, you're like a professional singer.
No,
like
that's
you're
not
just
true.
You're literally all these things. If you try to do it, you do it like you excel at it.
You're
but
so
I think
nice.
that's just how you are in general. Like when you do something, you do it like 110%.
Thanks, baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there'll be like a pretty girl on the internet, and she could be pretty, like so fine, and I'll be like, Grant, do you think she's pretty? He goes, she's okay. And I'm like, you only have eyes for me, huh? Mm-hmm. I need that in my life. Like I really do, especially growing up as a black woman and growing up as a dark-skinned black woman. I've always felt like I wasn't pretty enough because I wasn't like light-skinned or attractive. And so getting with you was kind of weird in the beginning, because like just being with a white guy in the beginning was really, really weird. Definitely another topic for another day. But like I've never once heard you say anything prejudice or discriminatory one time. And you would have been slipped up by now. You would have said something to where I'm like, whoa, you know, about anybody's ethnicity or race or anything like that. And you just aren't that guy. And I think that that's a really safe space for me, because I remember when I was dancing, I had told you that it was a guy at Starbucks, but you know the story now, that I was dancing and this guy was like, wow, you're just so pretty. Too bad you aren't lighter skinned so I could see you better in this lighting. And I was like, damn, bitch, you don't wish the room was more well lit?
Yeah.
Like you wish that I was lighter skinned, but you don't wish that the room was more well lit.
Yeah.
And so just having people tell me like, wow, you're so pretty for a black girl. Like you've never said anything like that to me.
I think to that, I think I'm just like very like open to how people want to like perceive themselves, or just like whoever they want to be, they can be, you know, and I don't really make it weird or question it or, you know, make a statement about it or anything. I just like let people be what they want to be. You know what I mean? And it's just like cool. Yeah, like just be what you want to be around me. That's fine. You know what I mean? And I think that the thing that I was going to say the thing that I like about myself is...
You can say that.
Yeah, the thing the thing that I do like about myself is that I always like stay myself as well around people, you know, and I don't like really switch up or anything like that. I mean, like maybe sometimes I'll try to like act a little cooler or whatever, like, but I don't really switch up the way I act around people or anything. And I think that people appreciate that, you know. I know like my clients appreciate it and like people I work with appreciate it. And I think that's why they continue to work with me, is because they know that I'm like myself.
Yeah, you're a guy.
Like kind of genuine in that way. So that's how I see other people though. I'm just kind of like, they can just be what they want to be.
There's definitely like, especially with the clientele that you have, like your clients are mainly like black men, right? Would you say mainly?
Yeah.
Like rappers. Mainly. They're rappers. They're all kinds
artists,
of ethnicities, but they're rappers and they're artists. And I would say like a large majority of them are probably black men.
Yeah.
And so I would think that they would appreciate that you're just like a guy. Like you just show up, what's up, man? I'm Grant. It is what it is. Instead of trying to compensate for whiteness by adding what you perceive blackness to be into the equation. Because there's a lot of white guys that do that, where they'll get like around, they'll be like, hi, sir, my name is Paul. And what they get around black people, they're like, yo, what's up, man? My name is Paul, bro. Like, what's up, homie? You know, and I'm just like,
no,
you know, save it.
Yeah.
It's just like, but I think also that because of where you grew up, it was such an even paced place that you never really felt like you had to compensate or inject other identities into your persona to be accepted in other realms. But then I also think you searched for a certain level of acceptance growing up, and that's why you're so accepting.
Because, say that again, because I searched for it?
That you wished that you had a certain level of acceptance growing up, so that made you more accepting.
Like acceptance from my parents?
Like your family, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that with my family, I always had that feeling, like when I was mainly when I was in high school, like I would always have this feeling of like, it's kind of weird to me that I feel like my parents just don't know who I am, you know, because I was doing just crazy shit, you know. I was doing a lot of crazy things like drugs and stuff like that in high school and stuff, and it felt so like far away from like what my parents thought I was doing. And I feel like they probably knew what I was doing. It's just like there wasn't that communication. Like they didn't know for sure, or they didn't know to the extent of what I was doing, you know? So there was always that weird feeling of like, this is crazy that I can't like really be myself around my parents. You know what I mean? And like growing up, I was like, I've always been into music and things like that. And, you know, now I do things on like the film production side of music, but, you know, then I was just like, so like intrigued with like music and artists and things like that. And something that my parents like definitely didn't understand, you know? And I mean, even into my adult years when I was pursuing like my creativity and things like that, they didn't understand that either. You know, I think it took me starting to like create a business and making money that then they started to understand.
Yeah.
You know, cause now they get it, cause now I'm making money, but you know, I've always made money too. That was the thing too. Like they've never had to like give me money or pay my bills or do anything like that. I've always been able to make money and do it on my own. And now I'm able to make money and pay my bills off of my creativity, which is like amazing. And now they get it. And now, I do feel like me and my parents are like closer than ever. Now,
yeah. That's awesome.
Which is awesome. You know, so that's a great feeling. But, yeah, growing up, I definitely didn't feel that acceptance, I guess, from my parents. And that makes sense that, like, I would project that onto other people in the way of, like, I want to make sure that you know that, like, I'm going to accept you, you know? Like, I don't care what you do or what you want to do or what, you know what I mean? Because even, like, and it's funny because, like, me and my friend were talking about this, like, he tells me like, because we've gotten into like political talks with other people before. Yeah. And he's like, bro, you're so good at like communicating these things, like your political views and stuff. And the best part about it is you're so accepting towards their political views, and you can like understand where they're coming from, but also being able to like have the ideas and the facts of your statements as well and your views. So you can like push that and then like receive what they're saying and then counter that, because like you're at a place of understanding. You're not getting hot. You're not getting angry at what they're saying to you, or, you know, just because you disagree with them doesn't mean that you like hate them as a person. You know what I mean? So I think I'm just a very like understanding guy, and I like to just keep it that way, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it's the best way to live for myself and for other people.
I think that's like, you know, definitely one of my favorite things about you is that I have never really I've never felt not good enough in our relationship. I've always almost felt too good to where it's like, is this guy being realistic right now about what the situation is? Because you're like, you're so beautiful and you're so talented and you're so amazing and you're the best partner I've ever been with. And all that. I'm like, I'm not that great. You know what I mean? And like,
talking to me.
You talking to me? And so looking at these comments online where people are like, leave her, bro, she's trash. And I don't think you're going to leave me. And those comments don't bother me, but it does make me think or wonder, are there things in our relationship that you're not seeing because you love me so much? And so I think that I've actually brought that up where I'll be like, you need to be critical about our relationship. You just love me too much. And it's not like I'm complaining that you love me too much, but I guess I am in a way almost hell bent on ruining my own fairy tale, because deep down inside, I don't think I actually deserve to be loved as much as you love me, as unconditionally as you love me, as fully as you love me, as truthfully as you love me. I think that I have barriers within my own self that convince me that this is fake and this isn't going to last and this is going to fade away and he's going to leave eventually because he's going to realize that you are not as great as he thought you were. But then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because I'm pushing you to see these things that you don't see, that don't even exist. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy where I'm like, then if you did leave, I'd be like, I knew it. You know what I mean? But it's like, did you know it, or did you create the environment that caused these issues? And like deep down, I don't feel like I deserve you. Yeah, and I have a concept that I'm not a good person.
Well, I think that's kind of when we have these fights and stuff, and you know, there's usually a moment in those fights where you kind of come around to see the perspective of like, you know what, I was angry, but it wasn't right for me to just give up right away.
Yeah.
You know, because like that was the issue that we would have when we would fight, is like you would just give into the fight and there was just no getting back, you know. You would pull yourself so far away that like the idea of like us staying together or like us being a thing still just was so far away for you to see, you know.
That's true. That's just defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know that.
Yeah. So, you know, that's, but I think that kind of stems from that same feeling too, you know?
Yeah.
Of you just maybe not feeling like you deserve this relationship or something. So it's like, well, obviously it's not working. Obviously we're fighting. So obviously it's done, you know, but it's not that simple.
And then I think even now, like, with, again, publicizing our relationship in a way that we never have before makes me wonder, like, a part of me is like, is he going to read a comment one day and be like, that guy has it right. He's figured it out. She sucks.
No.
And then just like disappear.
These guys are fucking losers, baby. Why would I ever listen to any of them? Anybody on YouTube who's going around commenting on a couple's podcast, something negative, you're a fucking loser, bro. I'm sorry. That's just the reality of it. Like, you are a fucking loser, and I'm never going to listen to your advice. Like, you're taking a 15-second clip of us communicating, and you're basing an entire 7.5-year relationship off of 15 seconds. And it's like, oh yeah, let me just listen to your advice, bro. Like, what do you got for me? What's your advice for me, bro? Like, what are your credentials in this?
Yeah.
Like 80% of those people don't have girlfriends, aren't getting girls in general. You know what I mean? They're just sitting at home watching, like, fucking jerking off to Andrew Tate videos. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just not, they're nothing. So it has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? That's like the disconnect that I have with the whole social media stuff and actual reality and things. Like, that's just how I see it.
Yeah.
It's like, like,
I think that it's funny when people publicly have things to say about you, because before, like we said in the beginning of this, we're so low key that nobody publicly has anything to say, but nobody has said anything about you. I really thought that people would be like, wow, this guy's like a simp or like a beta, but they're just coming for me, which is kind of funny.
No, but there's like an undertone of like that type of shit, because they're like, why aren't you putting your foot down, bro? Or like,
yeah, that's right.
Why are you letting her do this? I would never let my girl do that. It's like, what girl? What girl? The girl that you've been in with for a 7-year relationship? Is that the girl you're talking about? If not, then shut the fuck up, bro. What are you talking about? There's no reference there. You know what I mean? They're just like, well, if I was with a girl, like Daddy Tate said that, you never let a girl like speak an opinion. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? They're just kind of like, they're like baffled, because they're like, oh my God, they're like having like a conversation. And she has like opinions on things, and like she's like saying no to him, or you know what I mean? It's like,
so many people expect women to acquiesce to what men want all the time.
Exactly. And it's just, that's not reality.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be in a relationship, you have to learn to communicate with somebody. Like, unless you're like a fucking billionaire or whatever, and you just can just throw money at somebody, and there's girls out there who will do that for you, but you got to have money. And if you're sitting on YouTube all day commenting, you do not have money.
Okay, but if you had money,
yeah, would
you be with a girl who you could throw money at and just be like, shut up?
No, that's not my vibe. I want like a connection. But there are some people who like, power to them. Like, if that's what you want, but then they'll go on YouTube and complain that women aren't that way. But it's like, you're the one who's projecting that you want those types of women. But then you're like hating on those women who want to like do stuff just for money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense, but it's like, but then it's kind of like they're like what you were saying, like they're kind of like, what did you say? Your story? What was the
story?
You're writing your own story. How did you say that? Or you were like manifesting your own story?
Oh, self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah, self-fulfilling. Like, that's what these guys are doing, is like they're sitting there like complaining about women who like are gold diggers and all these things, but then those are the women that they're attracting to themselves.
I don't think the guys that are complaining about gold diggers are attracting gold diggers, because the guys that complain about gold diggers don't have money. Well, they don't have money. The men,
but the ones who do have money, who are complaining about women, and like they're
who has money that's complaining about women using them? Because men that have money who are with women that use them for money, love that they have money that women want to use them for. I think that that's like a crazy thing that goes on in our society right now, is that men have money, they have access, they have assets, and they flaunt these things because they know that it's like bees to honey. And then when it actually happens, they want to act like the victims. And it's like exactly what you're saying. I get what you're saying now. Yeah. Where it's like, you're putting it out there that this is what you want. And if that's the type of woman you want, then great. Like, that works for the both of you. That's a mutually beneficial relationship.
But then they want
complain?
Women to be submissive.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then they want the woman that's going to be submissive and shut up and just like do whatever they say. But the women who are like out there like with like a career and like have their own like things and, want that independence too, they're complaining about that. They're complaining about those traits.
God, yeah.
They're complaining about those traits in women, but then they want like a woman who has respect and all these things and like isn't on the gram like hoeing whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, but when they find those women and they're like independent and have careers and are driven, then they're thrown off by that aspect of them.
That's true.
So there's like no, there, you know, you can't
win if you're a woman with these men out here.
You can't win. Like
Yeah,
you're
you
either
can't
a
win.
hoe or you're a fucking like, or you're a alpha woman, or you're like you're
Masculine energy.
Yeah, you're either masculine women or you're a hoe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no middle ground. Like where is the middle ground there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that shit, it's interesting. But you know what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Men, I don't.
You know what? Yeah, I am kind of tapping out now.
Yeah. No, that was a good rant.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll wrap it up in a second.
Okay.
But like, I just don't think that most men know what they want. Like they want to complain about the women that are like assertive and career driven. And then they want to complain about the women who like would rather live like a soft lifestyle and want to be taken care of and all these other things. And it's just like, what do you want? Yeah. Like you don't want nothing. You just want to complain. And so like one of the things that I will say about women who are like the ones who are typically going to be submissive does not come for free. In my opinion, you cannot afford in our culture, in our society, in the financial environments that the government has curated where it's like impossible to live. You cannot afford to be a submissive woman because these men out here want submissive women to stay home and cook and clean. On what? On what budget? On what job you have? What job do you have? Yeah. If you're not honestly, I don't even.
It's hard. It'd be hard to support that.
It would be so hard to support that, and so it's like they want all of these submissive qualities, but it's like if I'm gonna be submissive and that's just not in my nature. So it wouldn't matter how much money you made because it's not my nature to be submissive in exchange for a lifestyle. I do understand that like you could take. Generally the term a man could take more charge doing something that would lead me to have to back off of doing something that I feel like I have a lot of pressure doing. You know what I mean?
But it's also
and
like
money helps with that.
Yeah.
But I think that like what these men that want submissive women don't understand is that there has to be some sort of financial exchange because who is going to be paying the bills? You want me to be submissive and you're working at minimum wage? You cannot afford for me to be submissive. Yeah. I have to have a job, bro.
Yeah, like we both have to have jobs. Or it's like, and I think that women are figuring out that like if you get put in this situation of where you're not bringing in your own money or you're not putting away your own money, you can get put in a really fucked up situation of like that the guy, if it like depending on how that guy is.
That's so true.
If he can put you in a situation of like, you're not going to fucking leave. Where are you going to go?
That's so true.
You don't have any money. I have the money. Like, you're not going to leave. So I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can go fuck any girl. I can do any of these things. And you're going to stay there and do whatever I say because like you have nothing. I've taken that from you. I've taken that power from you. So I think women are figuring that out too. And they're like, you know, they're doing whatever they need to do to like make that money, you know?
I think again, to that point, exactly. Submission is not only about finances, it's also about trust. Because like, if I choose to be, you know, and I'm not saying that housewives are submissive, but a lot of men would classify a woman that wants to be a housewife and wants to stay home and do child rearing and laundry and all this other shit, cooking and cleaning, as submission. Cause one of my friends, he like wants a woman that stays home with the kids, cooks and cleans, sex when he wants sex, all these other things. And I'm like, that's just not realistic. And if you're not like in the top percentage of earners, are not him specifically, but just generally men who want that. If you're not in the top percentage of earners, how are you going to sustain what it is that you require from her? And then when you are in that top percentage, are you going to make her feel safe enough to give you that, to acquiesce participation in the power dynamic?
Because a lot of people who want that, they're not like good guys. You know what I mean? Like they want a submissive wife so they can do whatever the fuck they want. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like they have that weird ego thing there too. You know, they just don't want to be in a fucked up situation with some weirdo who's trying to control their life. Even like the women who are doing like OnlyFans and like doing sex work, or even if they have like sugar daddies and stuff, like that still is like a business and they're earning money.
Yeah, that's right, I mean? Grant.
But business. But it's like they're doing that so they can secure their themselves financially. You know what I mean? You know,
I believe that if you want to like have the type of man that pays all your bills, pays for everything and you don't have to lift a finger and pay for anything, you should be getting an allowance. He should be giving you an allowance.
Just like figuring out a way where you can access that money, you can access cash. And you can put it away.
And put it away. That's what I mean by like allowance is like, don't just take me out for dinners and buy me things and take me on jets and buy me Louis and all this other Fendi shit. Give me an allowance too. Like if that's what I just feel like, because you should always be securing and thinking about on the back end. And I think I hope that a lot of women think this way. I do know a lot of people that I know personally in the sex work industry think this way, where they're like, okay, I got a sugar daddy, but he also he buys all this shit for me, and then I additionally get an allowance. And there are some people who do it where they can manage their money properly, and there's some people who blow their money. That's not because they're sex workers, as everybody wants to say, but people just are bad with money generally. You know what I mean? Sex work is not a qualification of mishandling money. Or a feature of being bad with money. That's insane. Whatever. I hate it when people conflate those two things. But basically, this is the last thing I'm going to say is that if you are in a situation where you are acquiescing your power to be like whatever kind of submissive, if that's what you want to be, fine, that's great. But you better stack your chips on the back end. And if that man is paying for everything, I think he should also be giving you an allowance. And hopefully out of that money, I think that allowance should just be money that you're tucking away. And then he can just spend whatever he wants on everything else. And you get to save your money.
But it's also like the guys who are complaining about these girls, who are the guys that are complaining about these girls being like quote unquote gold diggers. Like those are the same type of guy. And I think we just said this, but it's like, those are the type of guys who are saying that they want like a submissive girl and stuff like that. So it's like, of course she's going to look like a gold digger to you because like you're going to be paying her to be submissive, basically.
You have
You're going to like, if she's not like, and I'm using submissive as like a, somebody who stays at home and like just has like
whatever their general definition of submissive is. We're not like imposing what we think submissive is. It's just that this is now a term that people are using all the time to refer to a quality like or caliber of woman that they want. We're not defining submissive.
So it's just it's all crazy, you know what I mean? People are crazy on the and that's the thing too, like a lot of this lives on the internet, a lot of these guys aren't out in the world projecting these views.
I think some of them are. I think a good amount of
some
them
of them maybe, but a lot of them are just keeping it within the meme sphere of the internet and just kind of like are liking those funny little gym memes of like the girls working out and then like all the guys like heads are like completely turned around or something if she's doing squats, it's I think it kind of lives on there, like most guys, like if you start dating a girl who's like in their 20s or 30s, you know what I mean? And you start talking like that, like how you would talk online in like this weird like manosphere, like that girl is going to be so turned off by you and be like, this guy's a fucking weirdo. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, like you're on some incel shit. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to communicate like that to an actual person. You're going to talk in a chat room about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, and once you actually start dating a girl and start being like, oh, you're not like a gold digger. Maybe all girls aren't gold diggers. And it's like, oh, you don't have an OnlyFans, or you know what I mean? Or you're not like posting provocative selfies, or maybe if you do post some provocative stuff on your internet, it's just because like you felt sexy and you wanted to post a picture, you know what I mean? Like, and then you get to know that person and you're like, oh, you're like a really good person, you know what I mean?
But if she had an OnlyFans, she's still a good person.
Yeah, she's still a good person. I'm just saying like in their terms. Here. Yeah, like if you start to get to know a girl and you're like, oh, there are good women out there, you know what I mean? Like, I think people just kind of live on the internet and just get trapped in this like cycle of like, this is how all women are. You know what I mean? There's no good women, like all. But it's like, no, it's not. Like, get out there, meet people. You know what I mean? Like, you'll meet some women and it'll change your perspective. Like that's just how it goes. Like you get, your perspective gets changed by real interaction, not like fake interaction,
And all relationships are about like exchange. If it's energy exchange, financial exchange, just exchange of power, you have to make sure like these people have to have the infrastructure to maintain whatever the exchange is that they desire from their partner.
You have to
so
be
you
able
can't
to
ask for
communicate.
something without getting anything. And then I think also with our situation, what I've experienced on the internet, people are like shocked, I think, to see that I'm not submissive or that I won't do whatever my man tells me. And so that's kind of how that relates to everything else that we talked about. And so I'm just interested in continuing this podcasting journey with you. And as long as we know who we are, but it is still interesting to wade through these perceptions of these randoms on the internet while also trying to do our own thing during that time and then not getting in your head about it.
Can't get lost in the sauce.
Can't get lost in the sauce.
As Gucci once said. But yeah, no, that is the thing. That's real though. You can't get lost in all that shit, because we have to just make sure that we remember exactly like who we are and what we do. And like, it's like we have this thing because we communicated correctly. We understand one another. We have this foundation, of loyalty and of all these things. So,
yeah.
It's just real. And all that other shit is not real. So you have to remember that,
You're real, I'm real, we're real, our love is real, this freaking mook is real. And
that's true.
I love you.
I love you.
That's
good. The end of the episode.
That's the end of the episode. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of, I'm going to push my cat off. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Hanging Out Forever, Asia and Grant, recapping kind of what's been going on in our new podcast sphere and some of the comments that we've received and how we feel about it.
Keep hating.
Keep commenting, keep hating.
Keep interacting. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
We want the interaction. So don't stop.
We love
posting
y'all,
your
for
crazy
real.
shit. Keep going. Keep going.
And if you're listening to this on the audio streams, we recommend that you watch it because we don't put all this time into editing and recording for you to not watch it. And plus, you're going to miss out on nuances if you don't watch it there. So anyway, we'll catch you guys later. And thank you so much for watching. Share your thoughts about this episode in the comments.
Peace.